they have made a trade apparently already, or they have agreed to a trade for Evan Fournier, which is part of what we wanted, what we're talking about seeing here, but it seems incomplete, Bobby. This does not feel like it's the last shoe to drop here, but what we do know here is the Celtics have traded, it looks like 2 second-round picks and part of their trade exception, a good chunk of it, to Orlando for Fournier. And again, it would appear now that any trade involving Aaron Gordon would have to involve Marcus Smart or a third team and or first-round picks, changing places, possibly some team absorbing a contract like Tristan Thompson to eat into the TPE there. But it's gotten a little trickier now, where you can't just use the full trade exception on a Gordon type player. And so here's where we are with Fournier. First off, it's hard to judge this deal without knowing what's next. But if this is all the Celtics do, how do you feel about this right now?
No, I'll feel good. Better than nothing, right? I came into this day saying that if the Celtics did absolutely nothing, which seemed to be a real possibility, it'd be an absolute disaster. They had to add something to this team right now that could make them significantly better.
Contract, Bobby. We gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure, but I don't think you make this deal unless you have a good feeling that you could keep him here long term beyond this year.
Something else, right?
Yeah,
it has to be something else.
Yeah, well, I think there's two parts to it. They feel good about Fournier staying in Boston beyond this year, and there's obviously something brewing here beyond this. And the first thing you would think of is an Aaron Gordon deal. This is the initial discussion we had at the beginning of this week, that they would try to piece this together through multiple steps, and that's what they need to do. The thing is now, since this deal is essentially done, the only way you can construct it is by giving up Marcus Smart, because Smart matches for Gordon straight up. So there's not going to be much wiggle room in terms of what the Celtics can get back beyond Gordon from the Magic. So we're essentially looking at a Smart for Gordon swap now, unless they bring in a third team and move salary in different directions, because as far as anybody's concerned, the Magic are not taking Tristan Thompson no matter what.
They're not. But as it was reported recently, and again, there's a ton of stuff flying around there. We are talking about Theis potentially getting interest in the open market, and I don't think it's just because Marcus yelled at him last night. I think Tristan Thompson as well. And again, this is addition by subtraction. If in my mind, if you're the Celtics, because you get to turn the page into the Rob Williams era, which you do think, again, you got to figure out, you want to extend him, and you got to kind of just go with that as what you have. And so, yes, while Daniel Theis has tremendous value, and we can argue Thompson does at times as well, these are certainly luxury items for a team that has a ton of needs. And if you can get that money and move it around to a big needy team, take picks, transfer them over to Orlando, find a way to retain Smart, I think that's your best move. But it might not be possible. So we'll see. I think Celtics fans, if they found a way, Bobby, to get Fournier and Gordon while giving away nothing but picks, maybe Aaron Nesmith and Tristan Thompson, you'd feel pretty good about it. Even if it was, you'd feel pretty good about it. That's all I have to say about that. I don't know if that's possible. It feels like it's Smart. That's where we've been headed the whole time. So I don't know.
It feels like it's going to need to be Smart with the hard cap implications too, because Fournier alone now brings them within $2 million of the hard cap. So they're going to have to subtract a significant amount of salary now to avoid that if they're bringing in Gordon. So I think this is going to be a complicated deal. It's no surprise that they've left time on the table here, probably about 3 hours to work something out with another team. It's going to be complicated getting him here, but I get the sense that if they hammered this down, they've driven their nail into the stake here and said, we're going to get Gordon somehow, some way here, but Fournier is just going to be the first step. And I think this is what we all felt good about coming in, adding multiple rotation pieces, not just Gordon, to try to form a more deep, offensively versatile and defensively versatile team here. If you're moving, let's say, Thompson into two wings at this point, that's a substantial shift in how the Celtics are going to play stylistically this year.
And again, we talked about the beauty of it during the Gordon Hayward, short-lived, the healthy Gordon Hayward era of just those multiple wings out there. Is just such a thing to behold.
Fournier is 6'7". I mean, I don't think people realize how big he is.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I don't think people know a lot about Evan Fournier. Again, this is a guy who he's not an explosive athlete. He's not a wow guy. Jimmy talked about it on our post-game show last night. I can't remember ever having seen an Evan Fournier highlight, he said, which is funny because he obviously, ironically hit the game winner for the Magic last night. So he did do something on his last act as an Orlando
his
Magic.
last shot, yeah.
So, but you're right. He's not a flash guy. He's a guy who just kind of, gets his buckets. He's efficient. He can get to the basket. He's a pretty good shooter. He's averaging 19 points a game this year. Granted, on an Orlando team that's struggling to find buckets a lot of places and decimated by injury, so those numbers are clearly inflated. But you bring him into a full season with a team like Boston, this would be a 12, 13 point off the bench sort of guy, which is exactly what you're looking for. This goes back to the offseason when we talked about greatest needs. Wing depth. It wasn't necessarily available, but can you imagine if they had brought in a guy like Fournier instead of Thompson? We might be talking about different things right now. You'd feel a little better about this team and where the type of ball they were playing. They haven't had the parts. Everything's been ill-fitting all season long. So you're right. Philosophically, something has to change.
Yeah, the result of all of this could be more wing minutes, better defense. They've dropped to 24th in the league now in defense. Fournier alone's not going to help rise that, but if it's Fournier and Gordon, this team absolutely starts edging closer to the top 10 in defense. There'll be more Theis, there'll be more Rob, stuff that we've seen within recent weeks, plus the wings needed to actually play those wing-heavy lineups. Like, think of, if it's just Fournier alone, think of moving the 20 minutes of Semi Ojeleye a game, all those three-point attempts that he takes, to a guy who shoots 37% from his career from three on volume, 38% this year on 7 attempts. It's going to be a substantial shift. And just this one piece alone, I think, is going to be a significant upgrade. People keep saying all week, there's nothing that's going to move the needle. There's nothing that's going to make this team much better. They've been so bad when it comes to depth, shooting, role players, all that stuff, that a guy as reliable as Fournier, and this is an NBA starter, is going to instantly make a big difference. This guy's going to play 25 minutes a game, completely cut Grant, Semi, those kind of guys out of the rotation. And that alone is just going to be a massive difference for this team, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt, Bobby. And this is what we've been saying the whole time is Brad, why is Brad playing a double big lineup? Because he has to, that's the riddle. It's because the options have been terrible. You've seen the games where Semi has started. There isn't that option, and there's so much pressure on Tatum and Brown. When Tatum's off the court, granted, Tatum's not the best version of himself lately, but when he's off the court, man, they just tank. Their offense and their move, everything just plummets there. And you can't play Tatum and Brown all game, every game. They've had injuries and COVID for the reasons they've missed games, but they're just burnt out. You have to have somebody in here that can lessen the load a little. I do want to move along here. It is interesting. The Orlando Magic, this was something that wasn't supposed to happen, but they traded Vucevic to the Bulls. That was something that was unexpected. Looks like, was it 2 firsts and Wendell Clark?
Wendell
Clark, Jesus. Wendell Carter.
Is that a different guy from a different age?
Different different. It's a different sport. Your Canadian fans, your Toronto fans would love that reference. He's an old Toronto Maple Leaf, but that name's always in my head. So yeah, if you got Bobby's Toronto guys in here, a little bit of Wendell. But that was interesting. It also was interesting in terms of the Bulls being equal in the loss column to the Celtics and kind of nipping at their heels as a team trailing them for that 8th spot. There's danger falling into that 9-10 play-in sort of situation. It makes it harder just to get into the playoffs there.
And the Bulls don't appear to be done either. They'll be moving on from Markkanen today, it feels like. So what other pieces can they get on the wing or guard positions for him? They obviously need some.
The rest of the TPE and Tristan Thompson, would you do it?
Does that work? That would be interesting.
Bet it's close.
Yeah, I'd have to look at Markkanen's salary real quick. But as far as the Bulls go, they are what they are, and they're just going to be a more enhanced version of that. They're a top 5, top 6 offense in the league. Pretty dreadful defensively, top to bottom. I don't think there's one defensive player that stands out on that roster. So this deal definitely makes them even more explosive. But the issue that they've had in place there remains. So another move could possibly make them more scary, more threatening in the East, but they are about as scary as they've ever been, which is pretty much even with the Celtics right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we do want to wrap this up because I don't want to spend here. Hey, I got a child in here. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
I got a child in the room. Bobby, I'll let you take
Evan Fournier deal. All right. So if I'm counting the Lauri Markkanen contract right now, which people have kicked around as the next possible move, because it does feel like the Celtics are going to try to make another move here. He does fit within the TPE. Celtics have used 17 million of it today. The question has been whether that's going to be all you use of this TPE. So if you had 17 and 6, John, it's a tough one. I'm going to try to do it on the fly here. 23. So you still even have 4 million left for whatever you want to do down the line here. There's also the Cantor TP. There's also the Poirier TP.
Yeah. So I do want to let people know here because I don't want to. We don't want to spend all day. We are live NBA trade deadline special.
Yeah, look at that graphic. That's like national TV quality.
2 o'clock. We're not sure about everyone's going to be there, but I put everybody in the graphic just in case. But 2 p.m. we're back here and we'll chop it all up. We don't want to spend it all now. This, again, we wanted to quickly react to this move, but we do know that there's more to follow. So again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed already, get notified. 2 o'clock sharp, no matter what, we are live. We will hang till 3 something past the deadline, into the deadline, breaking up the moves and talking about it. We have to assume again at this point, Bobby, something else is going to happen, but we're not entirely sure. This does feel like part one of what, if you're a Celtics fan, you have to be excited. It looks like they're trying to do things right now. I do not believe this is going to be it. I don't, but it's possible it is. And if it is, you're carrying a piece of a TPE into the offseason next year, and then a decision to re-sign Fournier or not, I don't know. At face value, this alone for this season makes them a better team. But we'll see what else comes.
So what's who are they going to give up as the player here? Because they need a roster spot to open up. That's another.
I think Javonte gets.
Yeah, I guess it's Javonte, it's Teague, or it's Carson Edwards. Probably one of those three. But that's another layer to this deal that needs to be completed to make it happen. And there's already been word out there that they're waiting on something bigger, trying to make this something bigger with the Magic. So that's another reason for optimism here that Gordon's still in play, or some sort of other bigger deal that sends Thompson out, brings something else in is possible here as well. And I like you bringing up that Markkanen name. I didn't think he fit in the TP, but he does, and that's a real deal for there.
And you're hearing that after Chicago made the Vucevic trade, people immediately started saying that now they're going to go hard after Lonzo. And it is interesting because we're kind of being told Lonzo's off the table. And, you know, that's a guy you make fit with assets alone, and you don't worry about the salary, at least not now. So, again, I don't know. It's interesting who is there, what names are available, if teams make moves. But it does seem already, based off the Vucevic trade alone, it's a more robust deadline in terms of which players are available than what was thought. Because as of yesterday, we didn't think Vucevic was on the table anymore. We were very clearly told from people in the know that Orlando has no interest in trading him. And then
amazing, huh? That was a stunning deal.
They took a good, not great deal. It was not. It wasn't a blowaway deal. Again, you know, Wendell Carter has upside, but he's not a stud by any means.
Yeah,
and,
he hasn't even shown an ounce of it.
You know, you have those 2 firsts. It's not a blow your doors off deal like I thought it would take. You were talking 3 firsts and Rob. I think obviously, you know,
look at what 3 firsts could do.
So hey, you're gonna wrap
the tricky thing. I know some people are mad Vucevic's not in Boston. The tricky thing is they couldn't do Vucevic and Gordon seems to be the guy they fixated on. So if you can do Fournier and Gordon, I don't know if that's better than Vucevic alone, but it's probably more of what they wanted to do in terms of price. Because as you said there, Rob and 3 firsts is probably what it would have taken in that situation.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Again, you never know what else is on the table. They're asking for predictions here. If I'm going to give mine, I'm going to say that the Gordon thing goes down at this point. That's the most likely thing. But I you know, we'll see.
So the Nuggets are in.
That my daughter in the window there.
The Nuggets are in strong 2 on him, so that might fall apart. But I think if you're looking for a prediction, I don't think Thompson's going to be on this team at 3 o'clock.
Really, I think one of those bigs goes too. I think that's a good call, Bobby.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. So again, I know some people are still joining here, but we didn't want to go any longer here than 15 minutes because we just want to give you an update on what happened. First domino falls, Fournier to the Celtics. Certainly something.
And he has tweeted now. He has tweeted, I'm excited to come to the Celtics. So it's done.
So he's here. We assume something else. We're live at 2, and we will break it all down as we try to follow along all of the latest Twitter news and immediate reaction. Bobby's going to be on his trade machine, seeing what things work. My vibe here, Bobby, at 2, we're going to be still kind of waiting on stuff. So
Wow.
it'll be
All
interesting.
right. Latest from Shams, Magic and Nuggets progressing on a Gordon deal. I don't know if that's one last shot to get the Celtics to ante up here, but
Yep.
the Nuggets are pushing hard now at the end of the deadline.
Yep. We'll see what happens. Okay. So again, for Bobby, I'm John Zannis again. Last time I want to tell you guys, 2:00, we are live. Trade deadline special. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow Bobby Manning at Real Bob Manning on Twitter. Follow me at John_Zannis, Zannis, for updates. And we'll have these guys, the rest of the crew coming on at 2:00 for, a little bit more robust conversation on what the Celtics have done and what is still available to them leading up to the 3:00 deadline. So for Bobby Manning, John Zannis, we will see you guys.